Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for your participation in the chat section. Thank you so much for your introduction. Okay, Saif, class 7. So Saif is from Jordan, GIS, Vidya School. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for joining in this session. And let us start with the session then. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. So today it's going to be a very special session. So special, like every session is of course special. Like every Saturdays we discuss about something or the other related to the green initiatives, and we have young presenters and even educators, teachers presenting something about the initiatives they have been taking up. So today it would be more of a panel discussion which we would be doing, and it would be among our panelists, and they are like Nitin sir, Madhukar sir, Satnik sir, and Shruti ma'am. Okay, I'll just give a brief introduction about all of them, and then I'll hand it over to Nitin sir. So to start with, I'll start with Madhukar sir. So Madhukar sir, welcome to you. And so basically, he's a TEDx speaker, and he has been awarded by Jal Shakti Mantralaya as water hero and recognized as global top 3 author on water by Smart Water magazine. All right, so he was into IT communication network. Okay, so IT communication network professional, and then he turned into a researcher, come environmentalist, ecologist, inventor, entrepreneur, and a biodiversity conservationist. Okay, and his many papers have been published, and he, along with his colleagues, they have developed an indigenous technology. All right. So once again, welcome to you, sir, Madhukar sir. Then next in line is Professor Sagnik De sir. So welcome to you too, Sagnik sir. So Professor Sagnik sir is the Institute Chair Professor at the Center for Atmospheric Sciences, IIT Delhi. His research interests are to understand the air quality, climate change, and health nexus, and remote sensing of Earth's climate system, and he has published more than 130 peer-reviewed research articles. He's the coordinator of Center of Excellence for Research on Clean Air, IIT Delhi, and he's also the faculty of TRIPC, IIT Delhi. He's serving as the member of the Scientific Advisory Committee of the ICMR Institute. Uh, and I'm sure each one of you would have heard of these terms. And apart from that, he's like a member of the National Institute of Occupational Health, Ahmedabad, and of the Academic Council of Terry School of Advanced Studies as well. Thank you so much, Satnik sir. Once again, a very warm welcome to you. Then coming up to Shruti Sharma ma'am. So Shruti Sharma ma'am, hi ma'am, welcome. So she's the principal of Delhi International School, Dwarka, Sector 23. So it's in New Delhi, right? She's the innovative academic leader focused on engaging with students and educators to create thinking individuals. And she does carry an experience of around 13 years in the field of education. And she's committed to provide empowering leadership for teachers and students by encouraging collaboration, making the teaching learning environment comfortable and joyful for all. Okay, so that is the most important thing. And she has that special focus on active learning strategies for the students. She has bagged many, many awards in her career, wherein she has even received a letter of congratulations by Tony Blair Faith Foundation for preparing students in an excellent manner for global exposure. So once again, a very warm welcome to you, Shruti ma'am. And finally, a few words about Nitin sir. So Nitin sir, he's the managing director of Crest Olympiads and a prominent field figure in the field of education and analytics. So after spending more than it's more than 20 years into analytics and data sciences field, he had started ventures in competitive examination space, and under his leadership, so Crest Olympiads, so right now like we are under this Crest Olympiads, right? So taking this initiative, so he has been recognized as one of the most innovative Olympiad exams globally, and Olympiad success has become the largest online Olympiad preparation platform. So through Crest Olympiads, he has been instrumental in creating awareness among school students about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, and the green initiatives. So hello, sir, and now over to you to take the discussion forward. And once again, a warm welcome to all of you.
Okay. Yeah. So welcome to Mr. Madhukar, Professor Sagnik, and Shruti ma'am. Welcome. I think when we were actually thinking about the panelists, we thought that since it's going to be online, having too many panelists would be a challenge. And that is where we actually have someone from higher education space, somebody from school education space, and somebody from the industry, and all three of them very accomplished in this in their fields. So very fortunate, and heartily welcome all three of them. Uh, Let me just give a brief about this initiative as well as Crest Olympiad. So I think as Aarti mentioned, we are one of the largest online Olympiad exams globally. In fact, we were the first exams to be launched online across the globe. And that was in 2018 that we launched. And in just 5 years, we are actually the largest online Olympiad exams. This year, we had students from 62 countries participating. And that's, I think, a fairly big number for an Indian organization. And I think, as Aarti mentioned, we were actually rated as the most innovative Olympiad exam. I think the genesis of green initiatives was the conference that we had participated in along with Water Bank Foundation. So this was United Nations Water Conference, which was held in March of 2023. And the theme that Crest Olympiads had taken lead was to create awareness about water sustainability among academia, and that is where we actually took pledge to create awareness about water sustainability among students. After a few months of deliberation, we thought that, okay, we should increase the scope from water sustainability to a broader agenda, and that is where we are. And I think in a very short period of time, we have got basically associations with very prominent organizations, including United Nations. We have Tony Blair's Institute of Global Change. So they have an education program by the name Generation Global. So they are partner with us. And then we have UNACCC, which is Unity of Nations Action for Climate Change Council. Water Bank Foundation is also a partner, and then we have Association of Indian Principal who are partnered for this initiative. And I think what we are trying to do in this initiative is we are doing a host of activities. So first and foremost is basically a meeting that we do every Saturday, and I think I would really congratulate Shruti ma'am. We have a lot of students from Delhi International School participating every Saturday. I can see Tanvi, who's a very active member of this group. And I'm sure there are others which I may not be able to recognize right now. Uh, and so that is one initiative. We have Green Warrior, International Green Warrior Olympiad, which we have launched. And it will go, the level 1 exam will continue till Jan 23rd. We have got more than 40,000 registrations. I mean, again, people thought that this is like a fairly dry subject and students are mostly focused towards math, science, and English. But we are very fortunate to have 40,000 registrations plus for this initiative. And then what we plan to do is every 3 or 4 months, we do plan to conduct some activity like poster making competition or debating. That is what we will try to do. And we'll make sure that at least I think this is a topic that I think we as an organization feel very passionate about, and we'll make sure that we'll continue with this. So once again, thanks all of you. And what I'll do is, I think the plan would be to have a panel discussion for around 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And then we'll have, because we have a lot of students who have participated today and we have already reached a mark of 100 participants, which is the maximum limit. We'll actually invite students, right? I think we'll spend around 20 minutes with the students. They will be asking questions. And Aarti, Pooja, if you can just note down some of those questions so that at least students can ask questions themselves. I think that is what I think we'll go. So what we'll do is, I think, let me just start with Professor Sagnik. Sagnik, sir, if you can unmute yourself. And let me just ask, like, how does climate change impact students and teenagers, right? I think this is something which is, and I think since all of us are in the NCR region, this is something that I think we are all struggling with as of today.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the answer is not really, a pleasing one. People should know about the reality. And I'm talking about whatever the research has demonstrated so far. The children and teenagers are highly vulnerable to air pollution, to climate, and the effect, in fact, starts before the child is even born. And what research has shown that, when the mother conceived, and if the mother is exposed to high air pollution or heat or other climate extremes, then it increases significantly many negative birth outcomes. Once the child is born, there is impact on the development, physical as well as cognitive, which again makes the child very vulnerable. When the child grows up, the child may not be able to walk with his or her full efficiency. So overall, actually, what we found from the research and data is that climate change has a very large negative impact on what we call as human capital. And what I mean by human capital is not just the health part of it, but also on the education performance of the child, learning outcomes of the child, as well as the child's ability to walk with his fullest when the child grows. And in fact, I am actually currently doing a report for the World Bank, mainly pulling the data from all the Southeast Asian countries. And again, as I said that this is all actually what the data are suggesting.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot, sir. So let me just go to Shruti ma'am and ask so ma'am, what do you do actually in school, right? So how do you really come up with simple practical projects that you ask your students to do? And obviously the objective is to create awareness and also to try to see if there is something actionable that can be done.
Absolutely. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to state that this is a commendable job wherein through this platform also we are trying to generate awareness. So this is how I think the schools also do. They use particular platforms like online or offline and they do generate awareness. I'll cite a very simple example that I just saw that there is a lot of usage of the tissue papers in my school. So we do run an eco club. So under the leadership of my eco club children, we created a survey as to reduce the utilization and the usage of the tissues. So we named it as the issue with the tissue. So this was again done by my children only, and they were being very creative. So they did do a survey, which was then given to the parents, and 98% parents stated that they're okay without the usage of the tissue in the school. So that is how then we did a cross classroom discussion with this, again led by my children, and they took a pledge for the planet that they would not be using to start from the tissues in the school. So that is one thing, just as an example, to let you know that what wonders the Eco Club students can do. The second thing, utilizing the platforms, like you're also associated with Generation Global. I've been associated with Generation Global. Earlier, it was Face to Faith. So by the Tony Blair Foundation. So again, they have modules wherein the students can participate. And through those modules, they can generate not only awareness within the country, but across the globe. Then, of course, another very doable project is if we can dedicate a small portion of area where we can do organic farming. So in my school, again, my nursery KG students, they have adopted one plant each. They water it on a daily basis and they see whether the plant is blooming or not blooming. And they've created a small organic farm by themselves where they have cabbage, where they have coriander, such sort of things. And of course, focusing on the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse, and recycle. So these are the simple things that we can do at the school level. Doing a joy of sharing, having interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, and doing something for the planet. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, ma'am. I think it's very good. In fact, just to share something similar to issue with tissue, I think what we try to do is, at least at our office, we try to use both sides of the paper, right? So even if there's a resume coming in, we'll at least try to use the second side of the resume and before discarding it. So I think good. Let me move to Mr. Madhukar. Sir, if you can just highlight a little bit on like what's happening on the industry side, what all technologies and inventions are there, which have basically going to be solving this kind of problem. So if you can just focus on a couple of major technologies, that would be great.
Yeah, on the technology side, what is happening is I have my own startup which is into restoration of environment. There is a lot of perspective getting added into the industry side with the ESG standards coming in picture. Then ESG, in case if children do not know, it's all about environment, sustainability, and governance. So industry is now very, very serious about it. Then we already have CSR, that is corporate social responsibility, in place. We also have CER, which is corporate environmental responsibility, as a standard in place. And there is a lot of mandate being issued by government also, for water recharge. The mandate from the groundwater board is, whatever amount of water you're extracting or you're using as a corporate, double of that you have to recharge back into the groundwater. So by that virtue, there are plenty of corporates which are adopting water bodies, so that the recharge happens. If the water body is polluted, obviously the recharge will not happen, because in the bottom there will be a layer of sludge. And every surface water body has got a lot of ecosystem services to provide. So if the water bodies are not healthy, those ecosystem services will not be provided and it will be restricted. So industry is very, very serious about it. And especially because of all these COP summits and countries and norms being revised on a regular basis. Like recently in 2023, European Union has put in green cess on the metals being exported from Asian countries to them. So like the Indian steel will be costing 23% higher, because they're not following the norms, and the generation, the carbon emission in the steel making process is high. So there is a lot of pressure on the industry for doing the right kind of business and right kind of practices also. So they are also consciously reducing the carbon footprints and reducing the emission. So industry is very well prepared, I would say.
Okay.
And very much positive about all these changes.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Let me just open my next question to all the panelists. So following Pareto's rule of 80-20, right? What are like 20% of the things, or what are like top 2 or 3 things that government can do or we can do to make, let's say, 80% change? So anybody who want to volunteer and answer this question.
I think one of the biggest thing that would change a lot of things. I think in the last session, Tanvi had asked this question, that what we can do sitting at our home, and that to that I had responded that if we can simply do segregation of the waste, that is actually something which is worth billions of dollars. If the waste is segregated into green and wet waste and recyclable waste, the plastic waste and the paper waste, then that is something that every individual can contribute.
Okay. Shruti ma'am, I think you
Yes.
had unmuted yourself.
Correct. So I actually resonate with the thought of segregating the waste, which is the minimal thing that anybody and everybody can actually do. Apart from that, a very basic thing is saying no to the plastic. I understand it sounds very cliche, but also like for the schools, like it's a midday meal that is a mandate in the schools. So we should say no to the plastic cutlery at least. And when we order food from Zomato, Swiggy, talking in the terms of the children that I have in the portal. So when you order children Zomato and Swiggy, please do not use the cutlery that is being served along. That is a plastic cutlery. So let us take that initiative. This is the minimal that I'm asking you people to do. So I also know that this is the age wherein technology is playing a lot of role. So I see that children do not unplug the charges. The plugs are on, the fans are on, the light is on. So these are minimal things that I request all the children to stop wasting food, stop wasting water, say no to plastic cutlery, and just be a little more responsible towards the environment. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Professor Sagnek, any thoughts from your side?
Let me just add one more thing, which is an Indian startup. They've come up with a eatable cutlery. The cutlery that is made out of your food grains and seed grains. And that is literally, I mean, along with the food, you can actually eat the plate. It is eatable.
True,
Right?
true.
So if you switch over to that kind of a cutlery, especially in case if you have like some of the corporates that I know down south, they have changed their entire cutlery in their office canteens and mess to this cutlery, right? So that would be a great initiative if we can adopt even at the school and the college level.
Sure.
wherein we have a lot of cutlery usage in the mess and the canteens.
Yeah.
Professor Sagnek, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just completely agree with both of them. So for any problem, you need three types of interventions to work.
Mhm.
One is basically the policy interventions, for which actually we have the government. We
Mhm.
expect them to take rational decision. Then we talk about technological interventions, and this is not just for the industry, but also uh, the children when they grow up, they can also play a major role if they have a knack for technological innovations, because for many solutions we need innovative for many problems we need innovative solutions. And then behavioral intervention. So if you look into the problem of climate or air pollution, we have policy or technological solutions. However, those implementations are not foolproof because of our inability to really adhere to those norms. And we have been discussing, see, this small behavioral nudge will actually accelerate the policy or technological interventions that the government or the industry or any other agencies undertaking.
Okay. Okay. Good. So I think let me just move to I think a totally different area. So let's say if there's a student who wants to make a career in sustainability, right? Because I think I've seen so many students super passionate. They have been participating in these Saturday meetings almost every Saturday. And let's say if there are students who would really want to make a career in sustainability. So I think from a school side, I would really want to understand like what are options people are taking after grade 12. From Professor Sagnek, I would really want to understand like what are some of the branches that they should take, or what electrical, what engineering or otherwise, I think options they should look at. And maybe from a industry perspective, Madhukar sir, if you have any insight. So let me start with Shruti ma'am as to like if there are students who are basically volunteered to get into this, and then what are they opting for?
So basically, I would like to state over here that it is not a stream specific thing that, like I want to become an engineer, I want to become a doctor, only then I can do the sustainability for the water or for my environment. So it is open to everybody. So anybody and everybody is more than welcome to improvise on the carbon footprints, as sir has already stated. So I would also like to state here that we are a non-AC school. So my children who are seated there, they need to be proud of being a part of a non-AC school, because we know that we've been sitting at our homes in almost every for 24 hours if we are at home, or whenever we come back to our home in the ACs, and that contributes a lot to the environmental degradation. So I very proudly state and I stand for the school for DIS that it's a non-AC school. And because of generating such small awarenesses in the students, they are now prospective to become ecologists maybe. So they are now getting awakened to do something for the planet Earth. So now Eco Club, then awareness and everything, they want to do something for the ecology, they want to become environmentalists. So this teaching cannot be a bookish teaching, I would state, but this is the teaching which generates awareness, and then they open their eyes to do something for the planet Earth.
Okay, good. I think good perspective, I would say. Professor Sagnek, anything from your side?
No, I fully agree. In fact, my thought was also, in the same direction. There are multiple ways actually, they can, make a career. For example, if I talk about myself, my background is science. I am in an engineering institute, IIT Delhi, teaching, climate and all. So at higher studies, all these domain boundaries are kind of quite blurred. And in fact, to make a successful career in sustainability, what anyone needs to, acquire is actually holistic knowledge, because you cannot just stick to, one aspect of it. But we are talking about social science, we are talking about engineering solutions, we are talking about fundamental sciences, right? So whatever actually, is true to your heart, whatever you like, I mean, this is my advice to the children. Just follow your heart and do that subject. If you really, like, if you follow your passion, no matter whatever subject or stream you are choosing, there is, guarantee that you will succeed and you will make a career, in sustainability and contribute to the society.
Mr. Madhukar, anything from your side, like what you have seen in the industry?
See, industry is, as I said, it is gearing up for sustainability. So there are new departments getting generated into the companies. Like just about 2 years back, no company had a ESG department. About 10 years back, nobody had a CSR department, right? So people who were professionals, let's say if somebody was there into HR, he has done a course and he has got into CSR, right? Similarly, there are a lot of people from the environment department, like in PSU, we used to have environment department. They have done ESG courses. They are getting into the ESG department now, right? So industry is always geared up to embrace the new situations and the new challenges. But apart from that, also, if children want to make a career into sustainability, there are a lot of courses which are available, like UN Staff College is offering free courses for professionals, right? So this will obviously start only after their basic education is complete. They've already done their graduation in whatever stream they have done. And then they can do some professional courses like ESG courses or UN Staff College courses. And the demand, let me tell you, is very, very high for sustainable professionals, right? So it is not just for the industry, it is also for like we have international think tanks, like we have World Resource Institute, we have CEW, that is Council for Energy, Environment and Water, right? So there are plenty of organizations, there are plenty of think tanks and NGOs and UN bodies and central and state government bodies who have a vacancy for sustainability professionals. So the scope is very, very high. I mean, compared to any other stream today.
So guys, I think this is a great news for all the students who are looking to make a career in something similar. And yeah, so I think that's a great insight, Mr. Madhukar. Let me actually ask, I think probably what we'll have two more questions and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So then my next question is like, how do we get more and more students, parents, educators, I think industry getting more excited about doing these sustainable measures on their own, creating awareness. So anything that you feel we can make it more interesting, right? I think what I'm saying is that people would segregate waste because they feel, yes, they should do it. But then I think what I'm trying to understand is like, what are some of the exciting ways? Like, how do people feel passionate about making this change? Anybody?
When you say making this change, what I mean, would you like to describe it a little?
So I think basically following sustainability measures, right? So like saving water, saving electricity, so segregating wastage, right? So I think, see, right now, to a good extent, I think there are some policies or there are some things coming from the government, and that's the reason I'm doing it. Or maybe the school has told me to do certain things, and that's the reason I'm doing it. I think what I'm trying to do is how do we make it more interesting, or I mean, how do we ensure that people feel excited to do this?
See, one way is what you are already doing.
We are doing that, yes, absolutely.
Involve people into this sustainability Olympiad. You know, at the school level, if you want to work on that agenda of catch them young, then obviously there has to be some sort of a Olympiad that you have organized, or some sort of an incentive for doing a particular thing or adopting a particular kind of a lifestyle, because we are talking about a behavioral pattern change.
Absolutely.
Like when the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan came in, and I think after 2 or 3 years of that, Prime Minister Modi said that my children are my brand ambassador for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, because they were the first one to adopt this new kind of a lifestyle. You know, my daughter used to tell me that don't open the window of the car and you throw anything outside. Just put it inside, and when you get a dustbin, you put it in the dustbin. I mean, you should not be throwing it outside, right? So these are the new habits which have been inculcated, and children are the first one to adopt it, right? So definitely, if we create an environment around the students, especially I'm talking about the school students,
Mhm.
then obviously they'll start thinking in a particular direction. So it's a behavioral pattern change. But as far as the career side is concerned, the more demand is there, obviously the more supply will be there. So college students will get aligned only from the career perspective, not from the behavioral change perspective. That's what I feel about.
Okay.
Hello.
Anything from Shruti ma'am or Professor Sagnik?
I totally agree with sir that it is the generation of self-awareness, and
Mhm.
also it is going to be done only not barely by speaking words, but by feasibility of the same. If I say that I need to stop using plastic, it shouldn't be only for the heck of it or for the sake of it, and then I sit and use the plastic things in my office. So it has to be at the very inception of the same thing. So I
Mhm.
have to lead it by an example. So also we do have the green ambassador nudges in our school who can take it forward. So
Okay.
awareness, of course, very important, but also why question has to be important. So if I say something that you have to segregate the waste, or you have to stop using plastic, or you have to do this, then why factor has to be determined by the children by themselves. Only then it becomes interesting. We need to involve the parents as well. So maybe in a classroom, one section, a parent can be called and he leads or she leads the classroom stating, okay, these are my 5-point agendas for sustainability and let us do it for the whole day today. And then slowly and steadily it becomes a habit. So we need to take certain such small initiatives or steps wherein the things become interesting and not barely words. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so let me ask a little difficult question to all of you, and that would be my last question. So I think everybody knows, right, that the weather patterns are changing for worse. I mean, I think pollution is increasing every year. When do you think, and I think this may be just our guesses or estimates, when do you think that the clock will start reversing again, right? When things will start improving again?
For me, things have already started improving. I already have a
Yes.
Okay. Do you really think
Muradabad,
so?
one of the project wherein we had the worst air quality in the state of Uttar Pradesh,
Mhm.
and in just a matter of one, their AQI from 300 plus from 2017 till 2022, they consistently had 300 plus AQI, which is bad. I mean, not breathable by any standard for any kind of terrestrial animals, including human beings. And from there, it has come down to below 80, which is a safe limit for air quality. And this entire transformation has happened in a matter of 8 months, right?
Okay.
So nature has got a self-healing capability, and we need to design our development strategies in absolute harmony with the nature. The day we start doing it, I'm I'm doing it at a very small level because I'm a very small and humble background that I have. But I am trying to reach out to as many people as possible, right? So the more world understands these factors, things will start happening in the right direction.
Okay. Any thoughts from Professor Sagnek or Shruti ma'am?
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about climate or air pollution, I think we are currently in a situation where we have to deal both air pollution and climate change simultaneously.
Mhm.
40 years ago, air pollution was a very big problem in US or Europe.
Mm.
Uh, and that time we have just started understanding the climate change aspects. And that's why, their efforts mostly took care of the air pollution problem, not the climate problem.
Mhm.
But now we have enough technology, enough knowledge to simultaneously act. For air pollution, I can say, because that's my core area of research, what data suggests, again, that probably the rising trend for the last almost 3 decades, the pollution was rising, kind of becomes stagnated now. So at least we are successful in arresting that steep rise. But now we have to bend the curve down.
Mhm.
Definitely, it's a very positive move, but I must also caution that unless we really accelerate our efforts, it will be difficult to get health benefit. But we need to really bend down the curve, at least in the next decade or so. While doing so, there are opportunities to address the climate aspects of it, and you need basically, that is why, more sustainable solutions at every aspect. You can pick up by, source by source, like for transportation sector, for industrial sector, for domestic sector, solutions are there. So I think implementation will also be very important. Climate change problem, I must say that, it will not be resolved in next few years, because it's a long-standing problem and you need global cooperations. That's why we have COPs and all. Most of the countries rather have committed to, net zero. So I am looking at least to curb the warming below 1.5 degrees. So I will set my clock by in the, decade of 2035 to 2040. That is the time.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir. Anything from Shruti ma'am before we, so guys, I think what we can do is we can start the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please, and you want to answer, address it to any specific panelist, or you just want to have anybody attempt that, please put in your question, and by the time, let me see if Shruti ma'am has any final words.
So indeed, a very difficult question, but we have to do it right now. I would again, because I'm an educationist, so I always quote with examples. When we were young, there were a lot of sparrows who used to come when we used to dry the wheat. गेहूं जब आते थे तो बहुत सारे स्पैरोज आते थे, but now of late they are reducing. Why? Because of the usage of the mobiles. And I don't know whether somebody has done this research or not, but when the schools are open and children are in the school, vis-a-vis the children are at home, I think the mobile usage should be half.
Okay.
So we need to understand that, of course, it is a world of technology, but reduction, maybe a day's fasting from everybody, doable days fasting, wherein eat food, have water, do whatever your regular routines are, but do not use mobile. Maybe
Okay.
start with 1 hour of no mobile usage. And that is a request. If there are 100 children and 100 panelists, including the panelist over here, if we can start it with this small number and they become leaders and they take it forward. So 1 hour fasting of no mobile usage. That would be my request. Thank you.
That's a very different type of fasting. Thanks a lot, ma'am. I think wonderful idea.
Nitinji, just want to add, because Shruti ma'am mentioned about this no mobile. WHO, because I work with WHO, they have recently, announced that, mobile addiction for, whatever, gaming and all, for the children, it's a major, now burden actually. So we should be really aware of it.
Yeah, true. In fact, we have been asked by a lot of organizations to see how we can propagate the idea of lesser mobile usage, because now mental health is becoming a major issue among kids. So I think that's another topic, but I think we'll discuss it another day. Okay, so with this, are there any questions from, I think Sanskriti has raised her hand. Is there anybody else who would like to ask questions?
I have a question here.
Okay. Vivan, I think it would be good. I think it's Vivan, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead, Vivan.
Yeah. So my first of all question is to Madhukar sir. So for industry, we use a lot of water for chemical usage for the production of goods, which in turn can be quite polluting for us and quite bad for the environment. So what measures should be taken for it?
You're talking about the industrial water pollution, right?
Yes. I had this question in the previous session, but I wasn't able to ask. So just to clear today.
Fortunately or unfortunately, without water, no industry can run.
But how
And
to
there
minimize
is
it? Yeah,
no
maybe that's
single industry that doesn't produce wastewater. But the industry themselves can actually take this as a norm that they are reusing that water. And for that, there is a new concept which has come into the industry, which is called ZLD. Now, that is a mandate on plenty of industries which are using a lot of water. ZLD is zero liquid discharge. So whatever water you're taking from any of the resources, whether you're taking groundwater, you're taking municipal water or any kind of water, if you are consuming, let's say, 10,000 liters per day, and your actual usage is only 2,000 liters and 8,000 is being discarded as discharge as the wastewater, the ZLD norm, which is in the process right now, will say that the next day you will only get 8,000, I mean, 2,000 liters you have consumed. So 8,000 liters you will have to recycle and reuse. That is being pushed to the industries. So the day this becomes a norm, all the industries will actually start treating their wastewater and start reusing into their processes. But yes, there are certain challenges, like in the last session I explained about lignin, which is a natural waste into the paper production, right? So if the water is contaminated with lignin, they cannot reuse in the process because the paper will become brown. It will not be a white paper. So industry has to accept, and there are research institute like Central Paper and Pulp Research Institute, which is doing a lot of research into reusing of this wastewater. So the processes are on. It will take some time, but eventually all the industries will have to agree to it, which is the ZLD norm, zero liquid discharge.
Madhukar sir, just to clarify, is there not any another kind of substance which is renewable and can help in the filtration of water to replace lignin?
See, filtration doesn't help. Filtration is just, I mean, if you look at all the industries across the globe, when it comes to water, we are only working on two, three processes, one of which is filtration, then is coagulation, then is flocculation, and then is aeration, right? These are all uh, energy hungry processes, right? These processes can give you a short term gain, but not a sustainable holistic solution, right? Water bodies have to be restored back to the usable conditions of water, and that can only happen when we work along with nature, right? So like there is a weather change process, right? There is summer, there is winter, there is rainy season. All these things have to be taken into account while planning your usage and while planning your treatment process to recycle and reuse the same water, right? So it will be a long discussion. Maybe we'll do it in some
And one
other
of the
session.
Saturdays, right? Okay, good.
Okay, just
Anybody
the last
else?
question,
Oh,
if allowed.
let's see if there are other volunteers, because I don't want anybody else who would like to. Okay,
So
Sachit is.
Sachit,
There
yeah,
was,
he's
yeah,
raising
Yeah.
his
Sachit and
hands.
Sanskriti.
Vivan will probably get back to you. Okay, so
Okay,
let's have Sachit.
fine. Yeah.
As we change this, so when we work in industries using water, we dump sewage, which is also called dirty water. But how can we change it with our own hands?
Sajid, can you just reframe your question once again? I'm not sure if I got it, but I don't know. Madhukar sir or anybody else, Sagnek sir, if you have been able to understand.
Okay,
I
so
guess
what?
such are talking about two different things. Sewage is the domestic wastewater, and industrial effluent is the industrial wastewater. These are two entirely different sources of wastewater, right? For sewage, we have a phenomena called sewage treatment plant, wherein we have those sewage pipelines, and the entire wastewater from the domestic is taken into the sewage treatment plant, wherein it is treated and then it is discharged into wherever. I mean, whether it can be recycled, reused, or it is discharged into a natural water body. For industries, we have got ETP, that is effluent treatment plant. So these are two entirely different processes and two entirely different results. So what exactly is your question? I mean, is it STP or ETP?
So I'm talking about ETP. How do you change it?
How do we change it? Okay. See, industries are focused on their business. Industries are not focused on environmental impact, right? So industries will only do what the norms say. So there is a body called Pollution Control Board, which will set the norms for an industry to function in a particular fashion. If that norm says that it is mandatory for you to set up an ETP, they will set up an ETP, right? If that norm says that ETP has to discharge a water of this standard, they will abide by that particular standard. So it is more of a requirement in terms of the norms which are set by the regulatory authorities.
Okay. Sajid,
That answer your
and I know that Sajid is in grade 4, so very young kid, but very bright as well. Okay, good. Any other question?
I can see 3 hands.
Yeah, 3
Tanvi.
hands. So,
Tanvi, can we just go with Tanvi now?
Yes,
And
sir.
then go for Vaishnavi.
Sir, I wanted to ask that what are the disadvantages of producing geothermal energy?
Disadvantages of producing geothermal energy.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any disadvantage. Only point is that you need to research more on it. The geothermal energy was first introduced by Nikola Tesla, which was 100 years back, but nobody has actually worked on the concept afterwards. So you need to have a foolproof mechanism to make it in industry. So there's a lot of research required to be done on that.
So no one hasn't even tried it yet, right? Like there's no
Only
industry.
only at a lab level, only at an experimental level. I mean, it is yet to be shaped up as an industry.
True, and I think especially it's very capital intensive. That is what I remember. Because if you
Yeah.
really want to do something at a very large scale and make
Yeah.
it profitable, it's very tough.
So for renewable energy, that is why solar and wind have picked up,
Hmm.
mostly from the industrial point of view.
Okay. Okay. Can we go with Vaishnavi?
Yes, sir. So my question is related to like acid rain, as it is increasing and becoming more harmful for us, and how can we reduce it?
She's asking about acid rain. How can we reduce acid rains?
Okay,
But it's
so
all linked to the emission of COx, NOx, and SOx in the air. That is carbon oxide, nitrous oxide, and sulfur oxide. I mean, when they react with the rain, they create acids, and that is how acid rains happen. That is why the entire world is talking about reduction into emission. So the lesser emission we have, that is why we are switching over from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So all that is linked. The more emission you have, the more acid rains you will have.
Professor Sagnak, anything from your side? I think you were trying to answer as
So
well.
I was just saying the same thing, like, this emissions, reduction of these emissions are important, but in India, we do not have so much acid rain, mainly because we have a lot of ammonia in our air. So what happens is that when these acids are formed, I mean, you will learn this in your high school chemistry. So these acids are then neutralized. But
Okay.
it does not mean that, there is no environmental concern, because what happens is that these reactions produce actually small particles and create huge amount of air pollutions. And, like in Delhi or elsewhere, actually, this is one of the major reasons.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, can we go with Drishti? Drishti, you have to unmute yourself.
Sir, I want to ask a question to Madhugar, sir.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask that what are the disadvantages of global warming and how we can reduce it?
What
See,
are the
global
advantages?
warming,
What did you say?
Disadvantages.
Disadvantages. Okay, what are the disadvantages of global warming and how do we reduce it?
The global warming beta is increasing the temperature across the globe. Why it is happening is because we have increased the footprints of emission, right? The emission process started way back from the time of industrial revolution when we started using the fossil fuels. But industrial revolution started in United Kingdom and eventually it came to Europe. Till that time, it was not a problem because the footprint was reduced to Europe only. But eventually, it was spread across the globe. Now everybody is using a car. Everybody is doing an emission, right? So when the footprint has gone global, obviously the emission has gone global and the problem has started churning up. Now, because of this emission, the infrared rays from the sunlight gets trapped and the warming happens, right? So the global temperature is going up. Now, because we are a complex animal, we are complex beings, so we are able to sustain it because we are warm blooded. But there are certain, like I'll give you one example. There are certain fishes which are found only in cold climate. These are called trout fishes. They can only survive a temperature up to 5 degrees. If the temperature of water goes above 5 degrees, they'll die, right? So there are a lot of organisms which are very sensitive, plants and animals and birds, all of them are there, right? So if the global temperature will continue to increase, there will be massive biodiversity losses, right? And every organism in the ecosystem has got a role to play. Like, for example, I'll tell you, there is a hypothetical research that says that if just the honeybees are wiped out from the planet, the entire planet will collapse in a matter of one day, right? So every being has got a role to play in the ecosystem. So global warming is actually a biodiversity threat. If it continues, there'll be heavy losses for the entire planet. That is why it is to be reduced, and that is why we are talking about reduction in emission, removal of the legacy emission, and reduction of the temperature.
But how can we reduce it?
We can reduce it by two methods. One is reduction in emission. Second is removal of the legacy emission from the atmosphere.
Okay, guys, I think I think we had promised to complete this in 1 hour. So what we'll do is we'll take another 2 or 3 questions. I think those people who have switched on their cameras. So I can see Meghna, Tina, and then Noor. We'll take 3 questions and then we'll close. Okay. So over to Meghna.
Sir, recently in Chennai, it rained heavily on the first week of December, and like the pure rainwater, it got mixed with the drainage and sewage water, and also that water in the tanks underground, and it flooded, and it caused a big problem here in Chennai. People got sick, like stomach upset, vomiting. How can we prevent this during the next time it rains, sir?
Yeah. By the way, I like your confidence. Huh? Great job. Madhukar sir or Sagnik sir, whoever wants to answer this.
So, beta, the problem that you're talking about is urban flooding. Okay. Now, urban floods are caused as a part of an ecological disaster. Basically, what has happened is the water bodies that we have are choked with the sludge that we discussed somewhere in the beginning of the session. And the soil capillaries are choked, right? So basically what happens is if you look at the natural condition, what happens is when it is a heavy downpour, the water gets percolated down through the soil capillaries and reaches the aquifer. So that is the aquifer recharge that happens, right? And the same water during peak of summer, when the evaporation rate is high, the same water is pulled up by the surface water body through the same soil capillaries. Now, due to bad town planning, due to polluted water bodies, all these natural system of percolation down has been stopped. And that is what results into urban flooding. So the way we can restore it is we have to adopt more and more ecological ways of restoration of the natural resources, which is primarily three resources: soil, water, and air, right? If we are able to restore them back to good, healthy conditions, urban flooding can be avoided, like what we have already seen in a couple of our case studies that we can discuss someday later.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Tina, can we have your question?
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my question is with regards to a point that was made by Madhukar sir about green cess that is, levied on industries that produce metal, especially if they are producing metal in an unsustainable manner. So my question is, like, India is definitely an emerging economy. So maybe our industries are gearing up for it. But do you think cesses like these will actually be helpful, in the immediate future, or will they actually end up putting a lot of pressure, especially on the less economically developed countries who are just trying to, raise their economy at this point? And we know that greener technologies are also expensive.
Yes, what you're saying is definitely correct, that it puts in a lot of pressure on the industry. But that's a norm which has been set up by European Union in 2023 only, right? And it is specially targeting India and China because they've been the biggest suppliers, and the industry in European Union is actually suffering. So it is more of a geopolitical decision, not of a green decision. But then we have to live with it, right? So ultimately, what is going to happen is living in harmony with nature is not expensive. I mean, that's a wrong perception of the people that economy and ecology are standing against each other. It's not like that. It's just that our processes are not very well researched. If we do the right kind of a research, there are sustainable methods which are damn cheap compared to the processes that we are adopting to, right? India has been the global metallurgy hub not from today, but for last 2,500 years, right? You would have heard of Damascus steel. It was invented in India, but named after Damascus, which is in Middle East, right? So we have been expert into metallurgy, and all our metallurgic processes were in absolute harmony with nature without disturbing the ecology or the environment. So we just have to do a better research to come up with the sustainable practices. But yes, your question is correct that it is putting a lot of pressure on the industry. So
okay, so we'll just go for last question from Noor. I think there are a few other hand raises I can see. So guys, what we'll do is we have this meeting every Saturday, and Mr. Madhukar is generally there in all the meetings. So happy to answer some of the queries that are not going to be answered today. But anyway, I think we'll have last question and then we'll
have done this in one of the sessions earlier. Pooja had actually listed down all the questions. So if everybody can just put in your questions into the chat box, Pooja can send me those questions.
Madhukar sir, let's have them. Let's have them attend the next Saturday meeting. I think that will be much better.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Okay,
I'm talking about the text.
Okay, sure. Noor, do you want to ask the last question and then we'll probably wrap up?
Yeah, okay. So I have 2 points to talk about now. I have a question and a suggestion. So as we teenagers and in our schools in different countries, we can make a difference. We are not only odd numbers in world, we can make difference. So the first question, like as we hear in Jordan, India, Egypt, like all non-presented countries such as Africa and the Southeast Asia, we all have some treasures in our ecological system. But we don't have the money enough so we can produce something, so we can be developed countries. So how can we as teenagers, in our possibilities they are low, so how can we raise the knowledge so we can let all teenagers and even old people know how so we can help our countries to be developed countries such as India, Jordan. We have treasures, we have to sustain them, but how can we?
I think your question is more from the education perspective. So I think the other panelists would be the right people to answer that question.
No, I think her question, as I understand, is that how can India, Jordan, like some of the developing emerging economies, how can they become developed, right? So I think my short answer is obviously the way they can be developed is so development is actually measured in multiple ways. So obviously, the most common way is the gross domestic GDP per capita, right? So that's a per capita income that you really use to measure the. So what you really need to do is obviously have more industries, more consumption-led economies. In my opinion, it is little different. I mean, rather than going for a per capita income kind of metric to measure the development of an economy, I think it's basically the happiness index or the health index of of a country, which should actually include other parameters like literacy rate, the well-being of the people, right? Because then if there's a developed country and there's a lot of stress and then they have major mental challenges, then again I don't feel so. Though there are a lot of these developed countries which are there which face similar issues, but I think especially in countries like India and a lot of other countries, I know that uh, the at least the stress levels are comparatively less. I'm not saying that they are. I mean, it's not there, it's there, but then, so I think what I'm trying to say is that if you really follow certain different parameters, especially related to health, education, and some of the societal indices, I think those are things we should focus on rather than really uh, focus on the concepts that have come from the West, especially related to income and consumption. I don't think consumption or income would be the way to measure the development of an economy. And that is where I would really want to end.
No, I think that correct. Actually, very shortly, no, you can Google Human Capital Index.
Yes.
What Nitin sir was talking about is basically, kind of integrated, like what is the education and all these different aspects. So health is important, education performance is important, in addition to productivity and other things. So all these are
Yeah.
important. I mean, it's a long, yeah, but in short, you can then further explore.
True.
Like I suggest we can make like in our schools some like something we can make posters like low budget stuff so we can raise the knowledge between teenagers. We can talk to them, we can make some literatures, we can tell them about the importance of sustaining water, electricity for other generations. So maybe they can find more ways to use them. Maybe they can make some, sorry. So maybe they can find some other ways to make some stuff to help the humanity in all the world. Every small atom in this world has a use, as the professor said. I consider you as a professor, even though you help us in each word you say. So I will call you professors. So as the professor said, each atom in our economy, in our ecosystem has a use. So we have to use them in the right way. We have to raise the knowledge. So can I use this meeting? Like I can use this meeting as some reason for me to convince our good boss, me and the other people from my age in my class, to tell her that we can make some posters and some literatures. We can give some advices to our students. so we can have the permission.
Sure. Noor, I think that's a great point. I think so, Noor, because I know that you are from Jordan, and if I'm not wrong, you would be part of one of the King Abdullah II schools. I don't know. I mean, just making a guess. I think we are officially approved by Ministry of Education in Jordan. In fact, that's the only Olympiad exam which is approved by Ministry of Education in Jordan. So what you can do is you can just approach us. You can just write like whatever suggestions you have, and we are more than happy to do something special for Jordan. Okay, and maybe we'll also connect you with students from other countries. That is a promise from our side. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and with this, I think I just want to thank everybody, Mr. Madhukar, Professor Sagnek, and Shruti ma'am. I think it was wonderful conversation. A lot of, I would say, very good questions asked by young students. And I can tell you that some of these students are like as old as or as young as like they are in grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And I think every time I interact with students, I feel that these guys are like so confident. At my age, I mean, like several years back, I don't think I would have the courage to even ask a question, and forget about the kind of knowledge that they exhibit. So guys, thanks a lot, and look forward to having more meaningful conversations in the Saturdays to come. And with this, I would want to and this event. So thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Happy
You can
weekend.
just list down these questions that are coming up in chat, and I'll be happy to answer each one of them. Right?
Good. Thanks, Madhukar sir.
Thank you.